Can the cycle of loss be broken? This is the main question the series of Arcane asks itself. Loss comes in many shapes and sizes, but the heaviness that lingers as an aftermath is what makes for such a compelling narrative. The audience gets the opportunity to explore the many ways in which this inevitable phenomenon manifests itself, all through the lens of these amazingly crafted characters as they navigate their intricately woven storylines. This is what I seek to highlight throughout the video. Humanity and loss seem to be inseparable entities. What happens when you try to overcome this inescapable fact of life? Progress happens. The upper city of Piltover was created for the sake of science, but the cost was sacrificing the inhabitants of the undercity of Zon. This artificial imbalance wasn't going to last forever though. This injustice led to many conflicts, as countless lives were lost, and the ones who were left behind used their resentment as the fuel that drives them forward. Powder, Vi, and countless other orphans not only had to endure and suffer from the loss of their freedoms and parents, but also from the loss of their innocence. If enough time passes by, most wounds can heal, but those painful memories will never go away. The underdogs all await their chance to eventually tip the scale in their favor. Here's the problem though. If you try to strike from the shadows too soon, you may just get fully swallowed by the light. This is what happened to our young protagonists as they tried to bite off more than they can chew. A heist gone wrong eventually leads to the balance of the underworld being lost. In this process, Powder and Vi lose their family all over again, and the two sisters get separated by fate. The loss of sisterly bonds morphs Powder into Jinx, as her former self gets imprisoned in her own mind. On the other hand, Vi becomes physically imprisoned for her actions and sins. Another side to the story is Viktor and Jayce's pursuit to manipulate nature into something that can bring humanity hope and prosperity. The implications of their research are quite sinister, but they let themselves be blinded by their desire for change. As they get lost in their work, they neglect their true path as they're led astray by the temptations of the mystical forces they're playing with. Trying to manipulate nature itself has some considerable drawbacks to say the least. Viktor found that out the hard way after he let himself fall for the allure of magic. It corrupted him and his vision for a better world. As an end result, it leads to the loss of his precious assistant, and this was only the beginning of his true destiny. When Jayce lost his reason to be, Viktor was there to give him a reason to continue to live on. Jayce repays the favor when Viktor felt like he was losing himself as his body was running out of time, falling apart and crumbling under the weight of his deepest regrets. Moving back to Jinx, we get to see how she loses her confidence as the ghosts of her past overwhelm her in fear. Silco teaches her that it's okay to let go of her former self as long as she allows herself to be reborn from the powders of the past. Just like Jinx, he learned this lesson the hard way as the trust he once had in the man he considered to be his brother was lost, shattered, and drowned a long time ago. After Jinx almost lost her life, she also lost the last shreds of stability that were keeping her psyche from running amok. The decision Jinx made at the end of Season 1 leads to a destructive chain reaction of loss, as Jinx declares war with the upper city and everything that it represents. The underground network of crime from Zon crumbled with the loss of their leading figure, Silco, and the conflict with the upper city escalates to the point of no return. The inhabitants of the lower city slowly lose their freedom as Piltover's oppressive grasp towers above them. In such cases where hope and peace are lost, saviors are born from the ashes of the fallen ones. Isha felt that she lost the person she looked up to as a hero when Jinx went underground, so she steps up and eventually gets in trouble for it. Jinx has no choice but to embrace her role as an inspiration for the Undercity, since she can't afford to lose her sister all over again. In Viktor's case, he's faced with the struggle of being forced to move forward, despite his wishes to disappear. After Jayce saved him, Viktor loses clarity on what his true purpose is meant to be, but the light of magic shines back into his life and reminds him what he's always sought out to do with the help of his research. After Vi finally found someone who helped her get out of her inner cage, she eventually loses her cool and the connection she had with the one who saw her for who she truly is. Vi finds herself losing grip of the people she cares about the most again and again, till it reaches a breaking point and she loses herself in the process too. When Vi expects it the least, her sister Jinx comes back to ask for help. As they navigate memories that were lost to time, they team up to try and save their father Vander, as he's a husk of his former self. His core being is lost in an endless maze that now makes up his mind. As this reunited family embarks on a quest to see whether Vander's humanity is fully lost or not, we get to learn where Viktor's healing journey led him. In a land of peace, prosperity, and happiness, Viktor's newfound powers help him turn miracles into reality. When Jayce also arrives there, he is forced to choose between his friend and saving mankind from a potential catastrophe. His decision releases another hellish cycle of loss upon the world. After everything unfolds, this vision of utopia shatters, and its true colors get exposed, revealing the dangers that lurk beneath the surface of a world where imperfections aren't allowed to exist. One of the most gripping and poignant story motifs that gets showcased throughout the series is the loss of what could have been. When Ekko and his mentor end up being lost in space and time, they come face to face with an alternate reality where things didn't go so horribly wrong. Heimerdinger goes through a loss of belonging, as the society he helped build from the ground up rejected him and his values. He eventually discovers a newfound sense of purpose when he learns to respect his past and embrace the present as it unfolds. He sacrifices himself in order to give his pupil another shot at a brighter future. Heimerdinger's wheel stops spinning, but Ekko's will keep moving on to honor the loss of his mentor. He can't afford to look back at the serenity of what could have been when his mission takes place in a different timeline. Loss can even lead to new pathways being opened up. As the walls between Zaun and Piltover vanish, a new unity is born, where everyone fights with a common goal of restoring the lost balance of their world. When it comes to Jinx, she has to accept the heartbreaking and cruel turn of events, where she ends up being the big sister who failed to protect her younger sibling, making her understand what Vi went through all those years ago. As this reality unravels around her, she's determined to break this never-ending cycle of loss that she can't seem to ever escape. Her exit plan is a drastic one, but it's her way of atoning for what she's done. Another cycle of loss is broken when Jayce refuses to let go of the bond he had with his dearest friend. Viktor always sought out one thing: to be healed, as he perceived himself to be defective and broken. Jayce lets him know that it's okay to accept himself and embrace the beauty of the world's imperfections. When it becomes clear to Viktor that humanity losing its flaws isn't the answer, the balance of their universe is finally restored. The loss of a loved one doesn't mean it all has to come to an end. Each person you bring into your life represents a new beginning. As the inevitability of loss creeps up on us all, we need to cherish those precious memories and use them to strengthen ourselves for a better future. Commemorating the ones from our past and celebrating the people who are there for us in the present can act as an assurance that life moves on no matter what. Whether the cycle of loss can be broken or not is up to each and every one of us. You don't have to carry that burden all by yourself though.